Okay. So basically, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go over a couple of announcements, and then I'm also going to kind of tie it into a lesson as well. So kind of connect them in together. Might as well be efficient with it. And I want to talk a little bit about our programming and how some things we're going to change for the rest of this month and the next month. That I probably, if I didn't even tell anybody, no one would even know we changed it. But I want to kind of explain it anyways, because I think if you do know about it, it can be helpful for you with planning. Everything from what workouts you're coming to nutrition pre and post and things like that. So before I even go into that, one other quick announcement I want to make sure everybody knows about. Don't forget that this Saturday at 9 a.m. is the first seminar of the series that we're doing. Remember, each event that you show up for, that you attend, is a free or is a raffle ticket for a free month of Boda Camp. So if you come by yourself, it's $20. If you come with a friend, it's half off, so it's $10 each. And if you come with two friends, then it's free. So all three people can come for free. Now again, when I say friends, I mean you bring somebody who doesn't normally, that's not normally here. If they come along with you and attend the seminar, and the seminar is entitled "In Search of the Perfect Human Diet," and this is the little write-up that I did describing what we're going to be talking about for that event. So the keto diet, vegan, paleo, blood type, low fat, low carb, the dietary contradiction and confusion just goes on and on. Most people feel so overwhelmed they no longer know what to do or who to believe. So in attending this seminar, you'll learn some simple common sense approaches to identifying the perfect diet for you. Each attendee will receive a completed summary of the presentation that you can take home with you, as well as one raffle ticket for they'll be doing that drawing for that free month of Boda. That again is this Saturday at 9 a.m. We go 9 to 10, and then we'll have 15 minutes at the end for like a Q&A. This is a good opportunity to bring somebody too who maybe isn't going to come work out, but they really need to work on their nutrition or learn more about their nutrition. And it's also a good way to introduce somebody to Boda who maybe hasn't checked it out before. So with that being said, I want to go into this up here. So for this month, the rest of this month and next month, our programming for the month is going to look something like this, and I want to explain what this is so it kind of makes sense to you, and explain why it is that we decided to do this. So you may or may not wonder why it is that we do what workouts we do each week. Is there a rhyme or reason to it? And we do try to incorporate a lot of structure. There's certain things that we're trying to accomplish every week to make sure that we're getting done what we think we really need to get done. However, there's always challenges with group fitness, trying to get, especially when people are coming at different times of the week. You have some people that only come certain days of the week, and so although we would say, well, here's what we think what would be great for you as a program, we structure for a 5-day week. So that means that we're basically setting up our routines for somebody who would be here in the mornings, Monday through Friday, if they wanted to come every day so they could work out without overtraining and get everything they need in that 5-day period. So if someone's only coming 3 days a week, they're going to be missing 2 of those workouts. Now, in the evening classes, we structure obviously for 4 days, so Monday through Thursday. So that being said, there's also some key things that we're trying to incorporate every week, which again, you may or may not be aware of. But for example, every week, we're always trying to get at least these 3 or 4 compound lifts every single week. Usually the row, chest press, shoulder press, pull-ups, these types of squat type movements. We're trying to always have an opportunity for people to progress them and get those muscle groups hit the appropriate number of times, the right amount of volume and all that. And then still incorporating work in the other different energy pathways. And what I mean by energy pathways, which will kind of tie into this little article I want to read to you that goes a little bit into explaining what that is, and then show you how that relates to the structure that we have up here that we're going to be going through for the rest of this month and next. So this hopefully will make sense. So I'm just going to read this to you, and then I'll come back to this. So in one of the largest studies conducted at Harvard University, along with the National Cancer Institute and other institutions, scrutinizing data from 6 separate surveys of exercise habits encompassing some 661,000 mostly middle-aged people, and comparing them to death records for the group over 14 years. The researchers found that even a little bit of moderate exercise, less than the recommended 150 minutes a week, and they're referencing here the Center for Disease Control, American College of Sports Medicine have set recommendations for exercise each week, and they say that a healthy adult every week should get a minimum of 150 minutes of exercise a week. And so they're saying here that even if people did a little bit and you didn't meet that standard of 150, the risk of death was decreased by 20% in these subjects compared to those who didn't exercise at all. So, big drop there. It says, however, subjects who met the recommendations, who are getting that 150 minimum each week, their risk of death was decreased by 31%. So big, another 11% just by meeting that 150 minutes per week. And those who surpassed 450 minutes, so that's a big jump to go from 150 to 450. But bear in mind, if you look at the CDC, they make it very, and as well as the American College of Sports Medicine, they say very clearly that 150 minutes a week is what people should be doing to be healthy. It's not with weight loss in mind. So they're saying, they go on to say that a person who's trying to lose weight with exercise needs to probably be doing closer to at least 300 minutes a week of exercise. So Dr. Michael Greger has done some great videos too, looking at exercise, mortality, health, and then where's that upper limit? Like when is too much? When is it too much? Where you're overtraining, you're increasing injury, and/or you're not really having any benefit on longevity. And they go on to say here that over 450 minutes seem to be sort of like a point of diminishing returns, where there wasn't necessarily a big increase in longevity or anything like that. And there may even be some potential risk when you overtrain or you do a little, too much, depending on obviously the type of activity that you're doing. So it says moderate exercise can have a dramatic impact on mortality risk, and it may be amplified when the exercise hits all three metabolic energy systems. So this is where it's going to tie in and I want to explain what those are. So the three systems are phosphagen, glycolytic, and oxidative. So the phosphagen system is tapped during sudden outbursts of energy that burn the small amount of biological fuel called ATP stored in our muscles. It supplies explosive energy, but only lasts a few seconds. A 40-yard sprint or a single power lift would be a good example. So think like a Tabata, right? Why do we do 20 seconds on and then 10 seconds off? Or why do we do these short little intervals and long? Why are we trying to do this? Well, we're trying to target that phosphagen ATP energy system that is depleted in seconds. So you think about it, and it's like, if you're really going all out, that system, just like use an analogy, think of a car that runs on different types of fuel. Yeah, it has electricity, and then it can run on oil or gasoline, and you can switch to these different fuels based upon what it is you're trying to do. Or our body works in a similar fashion in that when you're working out, it's going to tap into different types of energy and energy pathways, or create energy through different energy pathways based upon what it is you're trying to do. So we want to have times during the week where we're really trying to target that phosphagen system. And then we'll see that what happens is when that phosphagen system is depleted, the glycolytic system kicks in. So it's sort of like your body says, I've been doing this, Tabata, and all of a sudden you start depleting that energy system, and now you're still trying to keep going, and the body says, all right, well now I got to type into the glycolytic system. So the glycolytic system kicks in when the stored ATP is exhausted, and it quickly converts glucose into energy, or ATP, and lasts up to about a minute before flaming out. So you think about it, what exercises do we do for a minute? Well, we have like the challenge workout where it's like 1 minute, try to get as many reps as you can. Try to get as many feet on Jake as you can in 1 minute. So now we're tapping into that glycolytic system that runs on glycogen or glucose. It's really important with those kinds of workouts to be fueled with glucose when you work out, if you really want to maximize your output. If you come into a glycolytic workout with little to no carbohydrate in your system, you're not going to really have great performance. And that's why with nutrition, prior to a glycolytic or a phosphagen type workout, you're going to really want to be fueled properly. Now we're going to and it gives an example of saying like a 200-meter sprint or a weightlifting set. And we would say, those high intensity interval training would be an example of that as well. Or weightlifting. If weightlifting is done the right way, it is also glycolytic. You think about how long does it take to do one set of 10 reps? Well, if you're doing it the right way, you're doing a 4-second lowering tempo. Your contraction is maybe 2 seconds, and you carry that out and you do all the time. Your set's going to take a chunk of time, right? And you're really tapping into that glycolytic system. Now, the third system is the oxidative system, and this is where when the glucose system is depleted, the body now turns to fat as its primary fuel. This is the only system that requires oxygen. The others, these anaerobic, meaning without oxygen systems, are, again, those glucose-driven systems. So aerobic exercises such as jogging and moderately paced biking and swimming are all examples. This is activity that's performed for long periods of time at a more moderate intensity. And bear in mind that when we're really tapping into that oxidative system is when glucose is depleted. So how long does it take to deplete that glucose system? Usually you're going to start to see 20, 30 minutes of activity before you really start getting into that oxidative pathway, unless maybe you've entered into that exercise already in a really low glucose state. So for example, you show up to an aerobic session. So for example, a good example would be fasted cardio. So you get up in the morning, you don't eat anything, maybe have a cup of black coffee or even some caffeine, which will increase these compounds called catecholamines, will basically just make your body be more efficient at burning fat and give you a little bit of energy. You're really tapping quickly into fat reserves rather than glucose, because there's really little to no glucose available other than a little bit that's sort of just in circulation due to your body's production of cortisol. So fasted cardio might be a great way to do a sort of low, moderate intensity exercise in the morning prior to eating anything, as a way to really tap into fat reserves. So we want to work in that pathway as well, but we don't want to be doing exclusively one of those systems all the time. And when we combine them together, as this, I'll go on and read here, says, workouts designed to engage all three metabolic energy pathways, and switching from one to another during a session, such as high-intensity interval training, has a dramatic effect on the body. Combining aerobic and resistance exercises, such as what we did today, we did a combination of aerobic and weight training kind of intermingled there. You improve your cardiovascular health, while resistance exercise increases muscle and bone strength. The science supports those claims and more. In a landmark study published in the Journal of Cell Metabolism in 2017, researchers at the Mayo Clinic found that high-intensity interval training appeared to slow down aging at a cellular level. After examining muscle cells of the exercising subjects and a sedentary control group, the scientists concluded that high-intensity interval training seemed to reverse age-related deterioration of mitochondria, which are those tiny powerhouses inside our cells. Mitochondria dysfunction is a key marker of cellular aging and is one reason why elderly people tend to feel tired a lot. The researchers also believe that positive changes they observed in muscle cells are likely mirrored in the cells of other types of tissues. Based on everything we know, there's no substitute for these exercise programs when it comes to delaying the aging process. And we even know that certain types of training, like slow eccentric lifting, can increase mitochondrial density in a muscle. So if you're lowering that weight slowly, you're actually building up your body's mitochondria. Certain types of aerobic training can have the same kind of benefit. And so this, if you ever have someone who says, I'm real low energy all the time. Well, one reason you actually feel, we were talking about this I think a little bit earlier, we were talking about exercising, in the morning, and how it can be a great way to actually energize you for the day, rather than having the opposite effect of where, I'm going to work out, now I'm going to be tired. No, it's usually just the opposite. You're going to feel more energized, right? So now bring it back to here, one of the things that we wanted to do for a while is have a, not just a structure as far as what we're going to make sure we always get each week, but have a structure that also helps people that's pretty consistent and helps people to know what to expect and how to plan with their nutrition and what workouts they're going to attend and whatnot like that. And I was talking with someone this week, and they were telling me about a program they go to where they're like, well, I really love the exercises and stuff, but the problem is there's like 3 different trainers, and each trainer is doing a different workout each day, and they don't talk to each other. So Becky will come in on Monday and she'll do this great workout and she'll kill our legs. But then on Tuesday, Kristen shows up and she's like, I'm going to do squats today. And then we're like, oh my God, we did like 1 million squats yesterday. And there's no communication. So there's really not proper programming in the sense that we don't want to blast. We don't want to do all chest presses today and then come in tomorrow and we're going to do bench again, right? We want to make sure there's always going to be a degree of overlap, right? You're always working muscles. We want to work them in different ways. And we don't want to work them, we want to make sure we're including the appropriate rest and recovery between workouts. And I feel like this moving forward will also be even a little bit better. So how this is going to work is on Mondays, our theme will be metabolic conditioning. And with metabolic conditioning, think a combination of weights and cardiovascular functional movements. So we're keeping the heart rate elevated, but we're also incorporating resistance training into the workout. So that'll be one opportunity to get some of those major compound lifts done at the beginning of the week. On Tuesdays will be our, not Tabata, but Tabota. So Tabota, because these will be our own version of intervals. So it won't necessarily always be 20 on, 10 off for 8 sets. That would be maybe a traditional Tabata. But it'll be interval training, high intensity interval training. So some days it might be 30 seconds on, 2 minutes off, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. It'll be depending on what it is we're trying to work that day. We'll be doing a series of intervals, but you can expect that it'll be kind of breathing hard, higher intensity, rest breaks, breathing hard, getting that high intensity interval training in on Tuesdays. Wednesdays will be really, again, focusing on weights. Resistance training will be the primary focus. It's not to say that it might not have an anaerobic or cardiovascular component. It probably will. Somewhat similar to our Metcons on Mondays. But we're really going to, again, make sure we get those other compound lifts that we want to hit, remember, twice a week. Thursday will be our theme Thursdays, and that we want to make sure also a big part of exercise sustainability is variety and fun or play. The best exercise is when you're playing a game, you're doing a sport, or you're doing maybe something competitive, or you're, just having fun. So things like we have the May the 4th Be With You workout, and Battleship, and Scrabble, and Monopoly, and we have all sorts of different types of games and things we like to play to keep a little bit of variety. So you're moving around, and the idea being that you can just move around and get your body moving without necessarily feeling like, I'm just here to work out, I'm having some fun. And then Fat Loss Fridays, we're calling Fat Loss Fridays because the primary focus will be that aerobic training, that more moderate intensity, the long duration. You walk in the door, you start almost immediately, and you go right until the end of class kind of thing. So the idea being kind of sweat, but not that high intensity interval, but that just constant go, 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 go. This means that, for example, doing, like I say, a Friday morning, obviously most of you, if you're not coming on Fridays, it wouldn't apply to you, but if you're coming on Friday morning, this would be a morning where, knowing in advance, you could say, hey, this might be a workout where I could come in, I'm going to maybe keep the carbs low, or have little to not, maybe have some water, a little bit of caffeine. I'm just going to kind of, go at a moderate intensity through that workout so I can really capitalize on that, my body's ability to burn fat when I'm training that particular way. So anyways, that'll be our schedule for the rest of this month, as well as December, and we're going to see how that goes. I think it's going to go really well, but I wanted to give you a little bit of the reasoning behind that moving forward. So I'll also have the calendar still posted. Bear in mind, there will be days where this will vary based upon what's going on that month. So if you have like a holiday or theme workout that happens to be on a particular day, or some special event or something, then the schedule might fluctuate a little bit. But generally speaking, that'll be their structure that we'll have kind of moving forward. All right.